Hello, fellow targeted individuals. I want to demystify what gang stalking really is about. It's an activity based on outsourcing, and these perpetrators may request mutual aid from sheriff's departments, VFW, American Legion, fire departments, hordes of aide business vendors, and other partners. And then they give money to people for doing this. There's HOAs doing this, block watch groups. People are relentlessly harassed by neighbors when this occurs sometimes. People are harassed by local business vendors. They track you through Stingray. You may be harassed upon arrival to places. They may be there before you get there because they study your pattern. And once they know your pattern, they know where to go. So even when you turn off your phone, they could show up and harass you, especially in a small town where there's not much to do. They're able to find you very easily. So this activity has its roots in domestic terrorism and false flags. And what they do is they relentlessly target the target by utilizing false reporting methods. And there are municipalities which are earning money from this, sheriff's associations. One day I went to Green Acres, Florida with a relative that was getting a medical procedure done, and somebody said I was touching myself. But I shared the video footage with another sheriff. My friend is related to a sheriff in the state of Florida. They found out that a code 3 was requested, which is like a violent encounter, something that can turn into like an active shooter event. So he said for somebody which is being reported as touching themselves in a car, that it makes sense. And then a massive amount of red cars came in and a sheriff parked behind me. So I wasn't concerned. I was unarmed. My relative was getting a medical procedure done. And I went to Ross like prior to this, just to burn time, to look at shirts. And a guy ducks down a corner of an aisle and goes, "Sss." And I noticed he was there with a lady that's ex-US Army. I have her tag. And while I'm in the car, a lady in a silver truck pulls up in front of me and she's looking at me intensely. She never gets out of the vehicle to go shopping. And police mention her tag in this video that I have. Well, they only do that when somebody is typically requesting mutual aid and the tag doesn't exist. So that is what helped my buddy to figure out what was going on. They use false reporting methods and they may harass you upon arrival to places. They will use elderly people tied to like sheriff's associations sometimes. They will use sheriffs. And a lot of times it's not the sheriffs actually harassing you. They're there with these clandestine groups or contractors which are being utilized. Um, you could be harassed every day. I have videos where even yesterday, I'm driving by the Mineola Library, and anytime I would drive by there, the same guy would show up. One day I go there, and this guy shows up in a car smaller than mine, but the same paint job, similar body. And I noticed, did an experiment where I decided he'll never go back there again. And the same guy yesterday, exact moment I'm passing by, he gets out of his vehicle. I'm looking straight ahead. And I notice as he's walking in the library, he's doing this the entire time. He nearly bumps into the building, to the door. So they do skits to get your attention. Don't follow people, don't harass people. And if you record, do it discreetly. So this whole entire program based on targeting is based on the promotion of violence while utilizing veteran groups, Masonic groups, hordes of partners, which are actually police partners and partners with DHS, national security partners. So this activity is based on fraud. And you could drive to Tennessee. This actually happened. My cousin had a wedding up there, and I decided to go to a store in town, in this rural town, just to buy some desserts. And a sheriff, he had a sticker on his car that says Sheriff Association. He was wearing a sheriff's uniform. He walks right into the store and he's looking at this phone. And I see this map, and then he comes to a complete stop and he says, "I'm right where he's at." And he goes, "Sss," and then he walks right out. I found that to be really weird, fellow TIs. So this is integrated into the whole community-based approach movement. These people will use public works, parks and recreation, utility workers, postal clerks, unions. I mean, this is beyond anything that you could imagine. You could put on your calendar, next week I'm going to go with family to a 5-star restaurant, I mean, like the best restaurant in town, and you could be harassed while eating. You could be harassed while you're walking after eating. You could be harassed when you're eating ice cream at an ice cream shop, when you go to church. And sometimes they may take breaks. The whole entire gang stalking program all goes back to law enforcement, sheriffs, mutual aid partners, interagency organizations. You may notice a lot of these groups like VFW and American Legion, they're upstanding groups, but they say on their website that we support national security. Well, when you hear somebody say that, what they're really saying is that they support clandestine activity because they are a clandestine organization like your CIA, which is a national security partner like DOD, DHS. And I'm not saying these agencies as a whole are bad or corrupt, because they're not. But there are people that are higher up in the management there which do turn a blind eye to this, along with county attorneys, state attorneys, cops. So this whole entire activity, fellow TIs, it all goes back to like to the government. It does promote every single thing that's not supposed to be promoted here. So it's a shock to see that everything linked to terrorism and violence is actually promoted discreetly, similar to like eugenics. Eugenics was banned a long time ago, but it still occurs within the United States discreetly. It was done in a DHS facility towards migrants. They were sterilized. And there are people that sign non disclosure agreements and they target people and violate their rights, knowing that what they're doing is dead wrong and that they could be promoting violence when they're antagonizing and harassing somebody daily for years. Now, we should never promote violence, fellow TIs. Being an American, we have a right to leave this country. And if you can't leave, go buy a boat. You can buy them out here. It's a piece of junk boat with a sail, with a decent sail for $3,000 or $4,000. Go sail out to Cuba. Go around the back of the island and call in the Coast Guard. Say, I want to declare political asylum. You get a visa prior, and mention the situation. There's always ways to get away from people that promote violence. There's no reason for violence. So these are people, fellow TIs, that support terrorism. Many of them will die for it. Say no to violence.